Good morning, Primary 6s and Primary 7s. It is Miss Mortimer here with the video for spelling today for the group who are doing Nelson Book 4. So if you're in that group, please continue to listen whilst I go over your spelling task for today and your spelling patterns for this week. And again, please remember that at the beginning of the week, it is a good idea for you to take a pre-test on your words to see how many you already know. You then should go on and practice your words. You might want to start with the word meanings if you're not sure of any words, because there is no point learning how to spell words if we do not even know what they mean. We won't be able to use them in our literacy and writing tasks. We're then going to do our Nelson textbook today, so I'll go over the exercises there, and then it's on to you for the rest of the week to practice your spellings in any way that works for you, making sure that you're ready for the Friday test at the end of the week, where you should please show your teachers a photo or something to show how you got on with your spelling test at the end of the week. So first of all, today we are going to be taking a look at our keywords for this week, and these are taken straight from Unit 18 and the keyword list in the Nelson textbook, which you should have had the unit shared with you on your Teams page. If you haven't already had a look at it, I suggest you take a look at the image there, because I'll be going over most of those activities. So straight away, you can notice some sort of pattern emerging for our spelling pattern for this week. We are doing words that begin with a. Now, more than that, remembering from our book 4 work from last week, we were working on prefixes and suffixes. And this time, we're not just doing any old words that start with a or a. These are words that have an a added on to the start of them as a prefix. And as you can see from the other lists here, we actually then have words that have al, al, added on as a prefix, ad, add, added on to a prefix, and af, added on to as a prefix. So we're doing a lot of work with quite a maybe unusual, less familiar prefix this week, but I'm sure some of the words that are on this board are words that you have heard of before. And remember, a prefix is added on to a root word. So the root word is the starter words which we add prefixes and suffixes onto. Sometimes there are slight changes in the letters that are included. But for example, if we look at the first list there, we have a blaze, a float, a sleep, and a ground. And taking off the prefixes, we would have blaze, float, sleep, ground. So those words are our root words: blaze, float, sleep, ground. And we've added on the a to extend the meaning. So I'm just going to read through our keywords for this week. You've maybe already had a read through them, but just to check that you're maybe reading them properly. So we have with the a or a suffix, prefix, sorry, I'm getting myself confused. With the a prefix in the first list here, we have a blaze, a float, a sleep, and a ground. On to the next mini list, we have almost, already, always, although, with the al, all prefix. The next mini list, we have ad prefixes, so adverb, adjust, advance, so adverb, adjust, advance. And the af prefix, we have affect, affection, affluent. So those are the keywords that you are working on for this week. As mentioned before, if there are any words there that you really aren't sure what they mean or you wish to double check, then it's a good starting point for you to use a dictionary or an online dictionary or search engine to clarify the meaning of any words that you're not sure of. And then we're going to jump into our Nelson exercises for today. So for our focus today, we are starting with the all prefix. Now, just before we start, we have a box explaining to us, if you're also looking at the image of your Nelson page. Remember, a prefix is a group of letters at the beginning of a word, which is what I've already said. It comes at the beginning of a word. When we use all as a prefix, we always drop one L. So I've also included this on my board here just to remind us. So all plus ways equals always. And you can see we had two L's in all, but always only has one L. So when you're adding the all prefix onto a root word, we always drop one of the L's. And once you've got that, the rest of the focus should be pretty straightforward. So for A, I've done 3 examples for us here, but you actually have 6 in the textbook, so make sure to complete them all. And you're given the instruction to copy the correct spelling of each word in your book. And you are given 6 questions that have 2 options, and you have to identify the right one and copy that in your textbook. Now, it should be pretty straightforward if we paid attention to that first instruction I said, because we now know that adding the all prefix onto a root word means there's only one L. And looking at these words, you can see the options provided: almost or almost, 1L, 2L. Same for already, in 2 L's and already. And same for although and although with 2 L's. It's very easy to identify which is the correct word, because we should already know that we drop the L. So, without knocking over my board here, we should know that these are not the correct spellings for each of the words. So the spellings you should be copying into your book are the ones with just the one L. And like I say, there is 3 other examples for you to complete on your own as well. And then for B, you've been asked to write a sentence about the picture below. There's a picture of some, maybe it's mountaineers or maybe just people out a walk. It does look quite a high up mountain though, so I would think they would have some experience. But we have a picture of them climbing a mountain, and there is one person at the top and there's one person nearly at the top, and the rest of the group are kind of looking upwards, and there's some snow at the top of the mountain. And you've been asked to write a sentence about the picture below that includes at least 3 AL words. So you could be using the words you have came up with here or in your keyword list, or if you think you want to push the boundaries a little bit, you can see if you can find some extra AL words that you could include there. But the idea is you write one sentence about the picture that has 3, well, it says at least 3, so you could have more, at least 3 AL words. When we get on to the extra, if you haven't already looked in a dictionary, you are going to need to do that now. So make sure you've got something handy to look up the meanings of the words. If you have already looked up the meaning of the words, then you are going to find this part of the task much more straightforward. So, the extra starts with a little bit of an explanation, which I've included some details up here. It starts by saying that prefixes have meanings. So the little groups of letters that we add to the beginning of root words, they actually, believe it or not, have an extra meaning. Now, these meanings are quite vague and they depend on the root word that they are added on to. So you need to have a little bit of flexibility with thought. But in general, words starting with AL mean all. So for example, always is like all the time, always. Words starting with AD or AF mean towards or tending towards something or a person. So advance means to go towards someone or something. Affection is you are showing affection towards someone or a pet or something. So this is where we have to be a little bit flexible. It does maybe seem a little confusing, but in general, AD and AF mean towards. And then A on its own usually means on or in. So for example, aboard, so are they aboard the ship, means are they on the ship. So using this knowledge and having our dictionary by us, for your task in A, you are asked to copy the words given and write what you think it means next to each one. And it has told you to use what we know about the prefixes to help you. So use this knowledge we have gained up here to try and help us guess the meanings. Now, I would have a guess before you write anything down. And then it does say to use the dictionary to help you with the definitions. So then double check your guess with the dictionary and write the dictionary definition down. So as I said, if you've already done that, then this should be much more straightforward. But I've only given you 3 examples here. You do have 9 examples to complete in your textbook, but I'll start you off with these 3 here. So we have admire, almighty, and affluent. I know my sun's shining a bit there, but those are our words: admire, almighty, and affluent. And we are going to have a guess at what those words mean. Now, admire, it starts with AD, which meant towards. So I'm going to guess if you admire someone or something, it means you respect or you like something about them. So that's liking something towards someone or something. So that's what I would go with that one, but I'll double check it to see. Almighty, so AL means all. Mighty is usually to do with being strong. So almighty is maybe having all the strength, being really strong because you supposedly have all the strength. That would be my guess. And then affluent, well, I know fluent is to do with being very good or things going very smoothly. Aff means towards. That's maybe a trickier one for us to guess. Things going well towards someone. Definitely I would need to check that one in a dictionary. So I'll do that and then I'll get right back to you with the definitions. So I've just used my dictionary to look up these words. Now I haven't copied down every single meaning that was given. Sometimes when you're using a dictionary, you'll be given 3, 4, even more different meanings. So you need to really take care and pick and choose what you're including, because I'm not expecting you to write an essay copied from the dictionary. So when we looked up admire, it came up with to look at with pleasure. So we are looking at something towards something with pleasure. So we were kind of right there. Next was almighty, and that was having complete power. We spoke about having all the power or all the strength. Strength, I guess, and power could be similar. So we were maybe almost there. And affluent is a word meaning wealthy. So if you're wealthy, then that we did guess things would be going pretty well, because we spoke about fluent meaning quite smooth and everything going fine. So maybe we were almost there, but maybe not. Maybe your guesses were better than mine though. So looking at the extra B, we have been asked to copy the keywords with each of these prefixes and then use a dictionary again to help you list 3 other words in each group. And we have been given 4 groups, which are the same prefixes that we started this with: AD, AL, oh, it actually is a mistake, AD and AF. The second AD, we can assume would just be an A. That's a typo there in the textbook actually. And I do remember that from before with other groups and classes. But we're doing number 1 anyway as an example, which is AD. And we've been told to copy the keywords with each of these prefixes. So I've already copied our keywords that start with AD. We have adverb, adjust, and advance. And then we're told to use a dictionary to help you list 3 other words in each group. Now be careful when you're using a dictionary or an online search engine, because it can be very tempting for you to say words starting with AD. And not all words starting with AD might be because it has a prefix. So please be careful that the words you are choosing for this entire part of the textbook, for all of B and the extra, are AD as a prefix added onto a root word. So I'm going to go off and see if I can find 3 other words to add to this list, and I'll be right back. So I have found 3 other words with the AD prefix as I have been asked. So I have added admit, advice, and admire to my list. And you should continue to complete that for the other prefixes given, just remembering we think there's a typo on the page and one of them should just be the a prefix, the same list we started with. For the final part of your task today, you have been asked in the extension to write a short story about a sea adventure using as many a, al, ade, and af words as you can. So all our prefix words that we have worked on today, even the words that are not on our keyword list, you should be trying to use as many as you can, and we'll maybe make it a challenge and see who can use the most of our keywords and our prefix words in their short story. It does say to try and keep your story to about 100 words, so that would be pretty short, but you are looking for probably quite a chunky paragraph, or maybe a couple of small paragraphs. And they have given you a picture to help you. And I've also tried to help you by giving you some words that you might want to include in your story based on the picture given. So in the picture given, I would suggest having a look, but I will describe it to you a little bit just now. We have 3 boys by the look of it that have had a really rough time out at sea. There looks like to be a boat that is capsized. It is upside down, and 2 of the boys are on there not looking very happy. One of the boys actually looks like he has his eyes closed. He's maybe scared, or he's relieved to be on the capsized boat. Maybe he was in the water previously. And there is another boy who is in the water. He has a life jacket on though. He also doesn't look very happy, and he has his arms up wailing or flaying about as if he's trying to wave for help. And we do see the end of a rope ladder that looks like someone's trying to save them. And also in the background we have a small island that has another boat that looks like it has came to shore, maybe just there and then, because there's some little lines to show that it's almost moving. So I've given you some words to think about including in your short story about that picture. We have aboard, afloat, almost, aground, and although. But see if you can include any other words in your story. That is at least 5 I've given you. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with. So I hope that was helpful for your learning this week. As always, remember to ask your teachers if you have any questions, and we'll see you next week. Bye.